Hi everybody, Matt and Tom back with you. Hope you're okay. Well, the snow is starting to melt, but it's not gone yet, and we are currently up near Langfield Common, which houses things like Gaddings Dam and I think Stoodley Pike as well. You can see the Shepherd's Rest pub behind me. This is about it for me on this one. This is going to be a Tom-led one, and we're going to look at a little bit of the history of Mankinholes. Mankinholes is about a mile further on the road, so we'll head there past Lumbuts. I'll show you some sights on the way, and yeah, I'll see you soon. So this one's over to Tom. Let's see what we can find.
Hello. Well, so we're still in the Lumbuts area of Langfield, but that house there has a date stone over the door of 1598. That's the earliest date stone in the whole of Calderdale. This area is called Croft or Croft Gate, but Croft was in the 12th century. In the 12th century, Croft was owned by a lady called Alice Still Croft. She was thrown off her lands because she'd inherited it and she was a woman. That wouldn't happen now, would it?
No,
thank goodness.
No.
Yeah.
Fabulous, 1598.
Behind me there's a flat hill, and that hill is called Healy Hill and Healy Lands, and it's been known as Healy since the 1600s. However, on a map from 1837, so pre-Ordnance Survey, and it's the only map I've seen it on, there is marked an old Iron Age little fort or encampment in a circular fashion, and yeah,
Fabulous.
so that could be because the name Mankinholes, which is the place we're looking at today, comes from little people or man, and people living in holes, and basically it probably meant original English or Celtic people that have been pushed out into these areas, and I'm thinking that's possibly the start of man's connection to Mankinholes. There have been some Neolithic flints found here, but nothing earlier. So the main mentions of Mankinholes in the early days, in the early court records of Wakefield, because we were part of the Manor of Wakefield, really talks about a lot of people having a lot of animals that broke out of fences and things and being fined for all that. Well, they were held in the old penfold or pinfold, which you might see on some maps, which was a big pen of stone that you could put the animals in until they paid the fine. And I know for a fact that this lake is the site of the original pinfold.
Oh wow.
And they flooded it to make the second lake, because this lake is of course Lumbuts Mill Lake, and initially Lumbuts Mill was a corn mill back in the 15th, 16th century, and eventually it became a cloth mill when the Industrial Revolution happened, so they had to build a bigger lake, so they flooded this area which had been the original penfold. So, the current village of Mankinholes is mainly along that road there, known as Towngate. But on my map of 1606, which is about a land dispute in the township of Langfield, which is this whole area, the actual village of Mankinholes at the time appeared to be in this field here, which was a sort of wooded area, and you can sort of see in the field some earthworks of where it might have been. I would love Time Team to do something on it.
Let's get in touch with Tony.
The listed trough.
Oh wow.
Listed because of the round ends, which which are just big enough for you to put your milk.
Oh wow, okay.
What's it's in?
Right.
Keep it cool.
So the round ones are quite rare to find, are they?
They are. This is grade 2 listed.
Wow.
No, I think not today.
No.
Now we're on Towngate. Back in 1606, there were only 2 houses on this. Mankinholes Hall, which is of course the scene of the riots of
Yeah.
Mankinholes, which Matt's covered on another video, and Pilkington Farm, which we'll come to a bit later on. There's a little cottage coming up called Antwerp Cottage, and Antwerp Cottage is named because of the Belgians that came here during World War I
Oh wow.
and looked after the land.
Very good. Antwerp.
This is Mankinholes Hall, one of the oldest, possibly the oldest house in the village, and it was the scene of the Poor Law riots of the 1830s, and used to be a youth hostel that was recently been bought privately. So
Right. Yeah, it looks old, doesn't it? It certainly has a lot of age to it.
it could have been on the 1606, although it is there. A lot of the buildings that were there were at the time wooden and later encased.
Very good.
I believe it's this bit.
Yeah.
So this is Pilkington Farm, which is the other really old building on Towngate, and it says in an article that behind this arch there is a Quaker's burial ground.
Oh wow.
That is probably 1600s, and interestingly at Pilkington they have a little window that goes in between the upper floor and the lower floor, which makes them one window, which helped half their tax, during the window tax of the late 17th century.
Wow.
So, a very wonderful place.
Yeah, yeah. Site of Methodist Church, was it?
Methodist Church, yeah. So going back to the 1830s, there's been a Methodist Church here. Weirdly, Mankinholes, although it's been a village since very early times, there has never been until the Methodist. There was never a Catholic or a Protestant church here. There may have been a preaching cross, so we're going to explore that a little bit. But yeah, Mankinholes Methodist Church unfortunately pulled down due to dry rot.
Right. So this is the Sunday school.
So here we have the old cross of Mankinholes. Now some people will tell me that cross is only 1895 or whatever, and it was built or made in the farm down there, Cross Farm, or even the Shore. I can't remember whose grandfather it was or great grandfather it was that did it up. If you look at the cross real closely, you'll see that actually the top bit is brand new, and the bottom bit, the T shape, cow shape of the cross, is actually really, really, really old, and it might go back to the 11th century. A lot of articles. I'll just carry on. That cross is not in its original position, and we're going to go to where it originally was, or at least it was on the original OS map of 1847.
Wow, okay.
So just quickly, here's a bit of a closer picture of the cross that I took, and as you can see, the top has been added. Also, it sits on an old gatepost, which apparently, according to again some very old articles, was a lucky gatepost for cows. They used to love to rub themselves against it and have all the luck in the world. Still probably ended up getting killed at the end of the year, but they were lucky until then. You'll be able to see from here that the cross was indeed on the other side of the road. In this next image, I've marked where it is currently.
So, on the first OS map of the 1840s, the cross is marked as being somewhere around that wall there.
Oh wow.
And this road that we're on now is actually called Cross Lane, which continues on down there. This place, Cross Farm, has a deed going back to 1519, which calls it Cross Farm. So the cross certainly is that old.
Wow. There's more?
A little bit more.
Okay, head down the hill.
So just a couple of interesting tidbits about the cross. One, why is the cross half a mile from the village over here? Well, historians in newspaper articles in the 1800s seem to think that the original village of Mankinholes may have even been here,
Oh, all right.
but was possibly deserted due to the Black Death of the 1300s. The cross, of course, could be a boundary marker. It could be a memorial of the Black Death, or another plague that came later, perhaps. It could also be a trading post, or even a preaching post, because as I said earlier, there was no church, as per se, and Heptonstall and Crossstone didn't get chapels of ease until quite late on. So perhaps, for certain rites and things, they could do it at the cross. So the original village may have been here. The reason it's a Tau cross, this is point number 2, very quickly. The reason it's a Tau cross suggests that it could symbolise martyrdom. Now, all this land over here is called Langfield Common, as I think we've alluded to. And the reason it's common land is because a chap called Sir Stephen Hamerton, who had land here, Burnley, Hellifield up in North Yorkshire, Lancashire possibly. He had all this land, and during the break from the Catholic Church, he rose up against the king. And the first time he got away with it. The second time he lost his head and his land, and so the king made it common land. So perhaps the cross has had the top bit knocked off at the same time to symbolise martyrdom, which is quite popular with Tau crosses. But as I say, 1519 for the first mention of Cross Farm. So.
Stephen Hamerton had masses of land. You could apparently walk on his estates from Sladeburn on the River Ribble all the way to York. His seat was at Hellifield Peel, a large manor which Henry VI licensed to be fortified in 1440. Derelict from 1947, it was restored and featured on grand designs about 20 years ago. For his participation in Bigot's rebellion following the Pilgrimage of Grace, Stephen was to be executed, but, being of knightly rank, Sir Stephen was hanged and beheaded, but was not drawn and quartered, and his lands were seized by the crown. His son Henry died on the 3rd of August, 1537, and was buried at York Minster. Joan, the widow of Henry, died on the 3rd of January, 1538, leaving 2 infant children. Elizabeth, the widow of Sir Stephen, died on May the 3rd, 1538, and was buried at Sladeburn. The Hellifields estates were held by the Crown until 1546. Langfield stayed with the king right up until 1630, when it was owned by Baron Clifton of Nottingham. Then it was sold to Savile Radcliffe, whose initials are on Todmorden Old Hall in 1641. Eventually, it became common land, leased to the freeholders of Langfield Common in 1652 for 1,000 years. They operate the land to this day. I believe the freeholders have a certain number of gates, which has something to do with how many goats they had when it became common land. They decide how many sheep and cattle can be grazed, upkeep the land, and in return I think they can take a certain amount of wood and stone. It was these gatekeepers, and gate is G-A-I-T rather than G-A-T-E, keepers who leased the land for the building of Stoodley Pike Memorial in November 1814. And they laid the foundation stone with Masonic orders and roasted a sheep up there. But the monument was not complete when Boney escaped from Elba in February 1815 and hostilities resumed. Current structure of Stoodley Pike dates from about 1854, after the end of the Crimean War.
Okay, there we go. So I think I'm right in saying that everything we've talked about today is based on maps. Is that right?
Articles, books.
Yeah, so we've not covered every single bit of Mankinholes there. Obviously, we've gone back quite a long way in time. Things like the Mankinholes Rebellion, for example, you'll find that on a different video which I'll have linked in during it. So I hope you've enjoyed it. It's obviously all open to discussion. If there's anything you completely disagree with,
Do let me know.
Let us know. Let us know. I'll pass them on to Tom.
But the point is, who knows where the village originated?
Yeah.
Is the point.
Yeah, because it goes back a very long way. All right, take care. We will see you hopefully on a slightly warmer and less windy day somewhere down the line. Take care. Bye for now.